Chosen one, pause everything and listen to this carefully. While you were busy healing, building yourself, and minding your own business, something absolutely devastating happened to the people who underestimated you. And here's the wildest part. You weren't even trying. You weren't plotting revenge or crafting some elaborate takedown. You were simply becoming the highest version of yourself in silence. And that silence just dismantled everything they built their identity around. Right now, in boardrooms, in social circles, in spaces where your name used to be a joke, there's a problem. The empire they constructed, using your energy as the foundation, is crumbling. The reputation they built by diminishing yours is being questioned. The confidence they manufactured by making you doubt yourself is evaporating. And you didn't fire a single shot. You just removed yourself from their equation and watched mathematics do what it does. Subtract the real value from a fake structure, and the whole thing collapses. If you've been feeling a strange sense of peace lately, like something shifted in the atmosphere, if you've noticed people who once dismissed you suddenly watching your every move, if opportunities that seemed impossible are now appearing effortlessly, type "I see it" in the comments right now, because what I'm about to reveal will connect all those dots. You didn't just walk away from toxicity, you dismantled an entire false legacy without even glancing back, and they're only now realizing what they lost. This isn't about ego or revenge. This is about the natural law of energy and consequence. When someone builds their entire existence on borrowed light, and that light source removes itself, darkness doesn't just return. It exposes everything that was hiding in those shadows. And chosen one, you were the light. Now let me show you exactly what's happening behind the scenes while you're out here thriving in peace. Let's start with the most uncomfortable truth they're facing right now. Everything they achieved while you were in their life, every win they celebrated, every moment of clarity they experienced wasn't actually coming from their own power. It was your frequency doing the heavy lifting. You were the energetic infrastructure holding up their entire operation, and they mistook the scaffolding for the building. Now that you've removed that support, they're discovering that what they thought was a mansion was really just a tent propped up by your presence. Think about it. When you were around, their ideas seemed to flow. Their confidence appeared unshakable. Their charisma attracted opportunities. People gravitated toward them. But here's what they never understood. Those people weren't drawn to them. They were drawn to the energy field you created around them. You were the amplifier, making their mediocre frequencies sound like symphonies. You were the mirror reflecting their potential back to them so convincingly that they started believing it was their own reflection. Now you're gone, and the magic stopped working. Their meetings feel flat. Their pitches fall on deaf ears. The same charm that used to open doors is now just noise. They're confused because they're doing the same things they always did. But those things only worked because you were the invisible catalyst transforming their lead into gold. Without you, they're just going through motions that produce no results. And the market, the audience, the universe itself can sense the difference. What's destroying them mentally is that they can't explain this to anyone. How do you tell people that your success was dependent on someone you treated as disposable? How do you admit that the person you publicly diminished was privately the source of everything you became? So they're stuck in this horrible limbo, watching their legacy crumble while pretending everything is fine. Meanwhile, you're building something authentic, something that doesn't need borrowed energy because it flows directly from your core. That's the difference between construction and cultivation. Here's something they're experiencing right now that they don't have language for. Ever since you left, there's been this gnawing emptiness they can't fill with anything or anyone. They've tried replacing you with new people, new projects, new distractions. Nothing works. And the reason is terrifyingly simple. They were addicted to your energy the same way someone gets addicted to a substance. Your presence was regulating their entire nervous system, and they never even noticed until the supply cut off. Psychologists have documented this phenomenon. When someone becomes dependent on another person's emotional regulation, their brain chemistry literally changes. You became their dopamine source, their serotonin stabilizer, their cortisol manager. Every time they felt chaos rising, your calm would neutralize it. Every time their confidence wavered, your belief in them would restore it. Every time reality threatened to expose their limitations, your support would create a buffer. You were functioning as their external emotional processor. Now that processor is gone, and they're experiencing full system failure. They wake up anxious for reasons they can't name. They feel restless in spaces that used to feel comfortable. They second-guess decisions that used to feel obvious. Their sleep is disrupted. Their focus is scattered. They're irritable without clear cause. These aren't just emotional reactions. These are withdrawal symptoms. Their body is craving the energetic homeostasis you provided, and it's going through the biological equivalent of detox. And what makes this particularly devastating for their legacy is that this withdrawal is affecting their performance in ways others can see. The sharpness they were known for is dulled. The innovation they were praised for has dried up. The leadership they were recognized for feels forced. People around them are noticing something's off, and they're starting to question whether this person was ever as capable as they seemed. Your absence isn't just hurting them personally. It's professionally dismantling the reputation they spent years building. This one is hitting them in ways they never anticipated. For years, you were doing something they didn't even realize you were doing. You were managing their public image, not consciously, not deliberately, but your presence created a context that made them look better than they actually were. But you were the social filter that softened their rough edges, the emotional translator that made their coldness seem like strength, the reputation insurance that covered their mistakes with grace. Every time they were about to say something that would damage their standing, your energy would subtly redirect the conversation. Every time their selfishness was about to be exposed, your generosity would create cover. Every time their incompetence was about to surface, your competence would compensate. You weren't trying to be their public relations manager. You were just being yourself. But your light was so bright that it cast their shadows in a way that made those shadows look like depth instead of darkness. Now you're gone, and people are seeing them in full, unfiltered resolution for the first time. That confidence they were admired for, without you it looks like arrogance. That decisive leadership they were praised for, without your diplomatic touch it's just abrasive control. That visionary thinking they were celebrated for, without your practical implementation it's just disconnected theory. The mask didn't slip. You were the mask. And now everyone can see the face underneath. What's destroying their legacy specifically is that this revelation is happening in real time across all their circles. Former allies are reassessing. Collaborators are quietly distancing. People who used to praise them are now silent. And the most painful part is that they know exactly when things changed. They know the shift correlates directly with your departure. But they can't acknowledge that publicly without admitting their success was built on a foundation they didn't appreciate until it was gone. So they're trapped, watching their reputation crumble while unable to explain why or how to stop it. They were prepared for you to be angry. They expected you to be bitter. They thought you'd be obsessed with proving them wrong or making them regret losing you. They had counter-narratives ready for your expected attack. But you did something they couldn't strategize against. You disappeared into peace, so complete, so genuine, so radiant, that it exposed every lie they told themselves about why they didn't need you. Your happiness without them is the loudest statement you never had to speak. Here's what's tormenting them. They watch you from whatever distance social media or mutual connections allow, and they see someone who looks lighter, freer, more aligned, more successful, more surrounded by genuine people, more at peace, and it doesn't make sense to their narrative. According to the story they told themselves and others, you were supposed to struggle without them. You were supposed to need them more than they needed you. Your success was supposed to be dependent on their validation, but you're proven the exact opposite is true. This is psychological warfare without you firing a shot. Every smile in your photos is evidence against their story. Every achievement you unlock is testimony to the fact that you weren't the problem. Every peaceful moment you experience is proof that toxicity was the weight, not the relationship. They're haunted by a question they can't answer. If you were really the one holding things back, then why are you flourishing? If they were really the one adding value, why is everything falling apart without you? The math isn't mathing, and it's destroying the equation they built their identity around. What they don't understand is that your peace isn't passive. It's not just the absence of chaos. It's the presence of alignment. You're not trying to prove anything because you don't need to. You're not seeking revenge because your success is the revenge. You're not watching their downfall because you're too busy building your empire. And that indifference, that complete lack of concern for their opinion or situation, is more devastating to their legacy than any confrontation could ever be. Because it proves they're irrelevant to your story. Let me expose something they would never admit out loud, but is eating them alive internally. Find a huge portion of their self-concept was constructed on the foundation of being superior to you. Not because you were actually less than them, but because they needed someone to feel above to avoid facing their own inadequacies. You were the measuring stick they used to convince themselves they were tall. You were the benchmark they pointed to when they needed evidence of their own worth. Remove that comparison point, and their entire sense of self starts collapsing. This is particularly destructive because they didn't just use you privately for this purpose. They built public narratives around it. They told stories where they were the hero and you were the sidekick. They positioned themselves as the leader and you as the follower. They framed themselves as the visionary and you as the supporter. These weren't just casual remarks. And these were foundational stories they repeated until others believed them, and they believed them too. Your role in their narrative was to make them look good by contrast. Now you've removed yourself from that narrative entirely, and the whole structure is collapsing. People who heard those stories are now seeing you thrive independently and asking questions. If you were really the lesser party, how are you succeeding without them? If they were really carrying the relationship, why does it look like they're the ones who lost their balance? The cognitive dissonance is creating doubt in everyone who believed their version of events. And doubt is the beginning of legacy destruction. What's particularly devastating is that they can't rebuild their identity without that comparison point. They don't know who they are if they're not better than you. They don't have a sense of self that stands independently, so they're stuck in this horrible position where your absence is both freeing them from the relationship and destroying the identity they built within it. And since they can't go back and they can't move forward, they're just frozen, watching their legacy erode while unable to construct a new foundation because they never learned how to build one without standing on someone else. They were ready for the call-out post. They prepared for the confrontation. They had responses drafted for the moment you'd publicly expose what they did. But you did something far more powerful and far more damaging to their legacy. You said nothing. Your silence isn't absence of response. It's the most articulate response possible. Because silence from someone who has every right to speak is deafening. It forces others to wonder what you know that you're not saying. And imagination is far more destructive than any accusation. Here's the psychology of it. When someone remains silent after mistreatment, especially someone known to be articulate and capable, it creates a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. So people start filling that space with their own theories. They start asking questions. They start connecting dots. They start noticing patterns they overlooked before. Your silence isn't protecting these people. It's creating space for others to reach their own conclusions without you having to guide them there. And conclusions people reach themselves are far more powerful than arguments they're presented with. What's destroying their legacy specifically is that your silence is being interpreted as confidence. People assume you don't need to defend yourself because the truth is self-evident. They assume you don't need to attack because you're too busy winning. They assume you don't need to explain because your results speak louder than words. Meanwhile, anything these people say in that silence is being scrutinized more carefully. Every defense sounds like guilt. Every explanation sounds like excuse. Every justification sounds like manipulation. Your silence has shifted the burden of proof onto them. The most brutal part is they can't call you out for not speaking without looking obsessed. They can't demand you address the situation without admitting they need your attention. They can't force engagement without exposing their desperation. So they're trapped in this one-sided conversation where everything they say makes them look worse, while your continued silence makes you look stronger. Your lack of reaction is the reaction. Your absence of words is the statement, and it's dismantling their reputation more effectively than any speech could. Here's what's happening in real time that they're desperately trying to hide. Every structure they built while you were in their life, every system they established, every process they implemented is starting to show cracks. And the cracks are appearing in patterns that trace back directly to your absence. It's like you were the rebar in their concrete. Everything looked solid from the outside, but the tensile strength that was holding it together under pressure was always you. Now that structural support is gone, and the weaknesses are becoming visible. In their professional life, projects that used to run smoothly are now hitting problems. Teams that used to be cohesive are now showing friction. Clients who used to be satisfied are now expressing concerns. The operational excellence they were known for is degrading into operational chaos. What they don't realize is that you were the one catching problems before they escalated, smoothing conflicts before they exploded, maintaining relationships before they soured. You were the invisible glue holding their empire together, and without you, entropy is taking over. In their personal life, the situation is even worse. Relationships that seemed strong are revealing themselves as superficial. Friendships they thought were solid are proving to be transactional. The family dynamics that felt balanced are now showing as dysfunctional. You weren't just managing your relationship with them. Your presence was creating a positive energy field that elevated all their connections. People enjoyed being around them more when you were there. Conversations were richer, gatherings were warmer, life had more depth. That depth is gone now, and people are noticing the shallow remains. What's particularly damaging to their legacy is that these cracks are compounding. One small failure leads to lost confidence. Lost confidence leads to poor decisions. Poor decisions lead to more failures. More failures lead to damaged reputation. Damaged reputation leads to lost opportunities. It's a downward spiral, and they can't seem to stop it because they're treating symptoms without addressing the cause. The cause is that their entire empire was built on borrowed energy, and the loan just got cold. They're experiencing what happens when you construct your legacy on a foundation you don't own. This is where it gets really interesting. There's a point in every fall from grace where the observers stop seeing isolated incidents and start seeing patterns. That point has arrived. The people in their professional circles, their social networks, their family systems, they're all having the same quiet realization. Things changed exactly when you left. The timing is too precise to be coincidental. And once people notice that correlation, they start asking causation questions. Was this person ever as great as they seemed? Or were they great because of who they had beside them? Smart people, influential people, the people whose opinions shape reputations are conducting informal audits. They're mentally reviewing past interactions and seeing them through new context. That brilliant presentation, they're remembering you did the research. That successful event, they're recalling you handled the logistics. That important connection, they're realizing you made the introduction. Every achievement that was credited to them is being silently recategorized by those who witnessed the real dynamics. Your contribution is being retroactively acknowledged, which means their sole credit is being retroactively questioned. What makes this devastating is that these reassessments are happening in whisper networks, in private conversations, in the spaces where reputations are actually made and broken. Nobody's making public accusations. Nobody's directly confronting them, but the energy is shifting. Invitations are coming less frequently. Opportunities are going to others. Collaborations are being quietly ended. People are voting with their feet, their time, their trust, and all of it traces back to the same realization. This person's value was significantly inflated by someone they didn't value, and now the market is correcting. The brutal irony is that your absence is giving you credit you never demanded while you were present. People are saying your name with respect in conversations where it used to be dismissed. They're acknowledging your contributions in rooms you're not in. They're recognizing your worth in contexts where it was previously invisible. Your stock is rising precisely because you're not trying to sell it. Meanwhile, their stock is crashing precisely because they oversold it. The market of human perception is ruthlessly efficient. It always finds true value eventually. And it's finding that the value was in you all along. They thought they could just plug someone else into your role and get the same results. They approached relationships like components in a machine. Swap out one part for another of similar size and keep running. But here's what they're discovering through brutal experience. You weren't a part. You were the operating system. You weren't a component. You were the integration that made all components work together. And you can't replace an operating system by adding more hardware. Every person they've tried to bring into the space you occupied has failed to fill it. Not because those people are inadequate, but because the space itself was shaped by your unique frequency, your empathy, your intelligence, your energy, your perspective. These weren't generic qualities. They were specific frequencies that created specific results. Someone else might be empathetic, but not in the way that balanced their coldness. Someone else might be intelligent, but not in the way that complemented their thinking. The fit was unique, and unique fits can't be replicated. What's destroying them is watching this play out in real time. They bring someone new into their life with great expectations. Initially, there's promise. Maybe this person can provide what you provided, but within weeks or months, the inadequacy becomes clear. The magic doesn't happen. The synergy doesn't develop. The results don't manifest, and they're forced to confront a terrifying truth. The problem isn't finding the right replacement. The problem is that replacement itself is impossible. You weren't a role. You were a revelation, and revelations don't come twice. This realization is legacy destroying because it means every future attempt will be measured against what they had with you and will fall short. They're condemned to perpetual comparison, where the past will always seem better than the present. Every new relationship will be haunted by your ghost. Every new collaboration will be measured against your standard. They turned you into the unreachable benchmark by failing to appreciate you when they had you. Now they're trapped in a self-created hell where nothing will ever be as good as what they threw away, and they know it. While they've been dealing with decline, you've been experiencing expansion. And while they've been managing damage control, you've been building new empires. While they've been explaining their struggles, you've been celebrating your wins. The contrast isn't just visible, it's glaring, it's unavoidable. It's telling a story that destroys every narrative they constructed about who was valuable and who wasn't. Your trajectory is proof that they were the weight, not the wings. What makes this particularly devastating to their legacy is that your growth isn't accidental. It's not luck. It's not timing. It's the natural result of your gifts finally being freed from suppression. Everything they diminished in you is now flourishing in environments that appreciate it. Every talent they took for granted is now being celebrated by others. Every contribution they minimized is now being compensated properly. You're not just doing well. You're thriving in ways that prove you were always capable of this. They just convinced you that you weren't. The world is watching this contrast play out in real time. Social proof is a powerful thing. When people see someone leave a situation and immediately improve while the one left behind immediately declines, conclusions write themselves. The narrative flips without anyone having to argue for it. You become the hero who escaped. They become the villain who held you back. Your liberation becomes their condemnation. And legacy is written by those who observe patterns, not by those who claim credit. What's particularly brutal is that they can see this happening, but can't stop it. Every post you make about your success is an indirect indictment of their judgment. Every opportunity you receive is evidence they undervalued you. Every relationship you form that's healthier than what you had with them proves they were the toxic variable. They're watching their legacy being rewritten in real time through the contrast between your rise and their fall. And there's nothing they can do about it except face the truth. You weren't the problem. You were the solution, and they eliminated the solution while complaining about the problem. They might not believe in cosmic justice or energetic law or what goes around comes around. But belief isn't required for natural law to function. Gravity works whether you believe in it or not. An energetic consequence operates on the same principle. When you harm someone operating from genuine intention and authentic energy, when you exploit someone who was helping you, when you betray someone who was loyal to you, there are ramifications. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because you just violated the laws that govern sustainable success. Here's how it works. Every relationship is an energy exchange. When the exchange is balanced, both parties benefit sustainably. When the exchange is imbalanced, with one person extracting more value than they contribute, the relationship becomes parasitic. Parasitic relationships can last for a while, but they're inherently unstable. Eventually, the host either wises up and leaves, or gets depleted and fails. Either way, the parasite loses its source, and without having developed the ability to generate their own value, the parasite enters crisis. That's not karma, that's ecology. They're experiencing this right now. Every door that's closing for them opened because of energy they were extracting from you. Every opportunity that's disappearing came through connections they accessed through you. Every win that's being lost was built on a foundation they borrowed from you. They didn't build sustainable systems, they built extractive ones, and extractive systems collapse when the source is removed. What they called success was actually dependency. And dependency disguised as success is just delayed failure waiting to happen. What's destroying their legacy specifically is that this collapse is revealing patterns across their entire life. This wasn't the first time they extracted value without reciprocating. This wasn't the only relationship where they took more than they gave. As their situation deteriorates, those other people from their past are recognizing the same pattern. Stories are being shared. Similarities are being noticed. A reputation is forming, not just about what they did to you, but about who they are systematically. Your situation became the case that exposed the pattern, and patterns destroy legacies more thoroughly than individual incidents ever could. The cruelest irony is that they're finally learning everything you tried to teach them while you were there. They understand now that loyalty matters, that consistency has value, that genuine support can't be replaced with transactional arrangements, that the person who holds you down when storms come is worth more than crowds who show up for celebrations. They get it now. Every lesson you embodied that they ignored, every value you demonstrated that they dismissed, every principle you lived that they mocked, it's all crystal clear to them now. But understanding came too late. This delayed enlightenment is torture for them, because now they know exactly what they lost. and they know they lost it through their own actions. There's no one else to blame, no external circumstances to point to, no bad luck to cite. They had something rare, and they destroyed it through ignorance and arrogance. That knowledge doesn't bring growth. It brings regret. And regret is a terrible foundation for legacy. You can't build forward while constantly looking back at what you squandered. What makes this particularly legacy-destroying is that this lesson is teaching them about all their other relationships too. Now that they understand what real value looks like, they're recognizing they're surrounded by people who provide nothing real. Now that they know what genuine support feels like, they're realizing they're drowning in superficial connections. Now that they comprehend what authentic energy does, they're seeing they're trapped in synthetic systems. You didn't just teach them about losing you. You taught them about everything they're settling for in your absence. And that awareness is a special kind of suffering. They're caught in a trap of their own making. They can't go back because you've moved on. They can't move forward because nothing compares. They can't stay where they are because now they see its inadequacy. So they're stuck in limbo, educated but paralyzed, aware but helpless, understanding but unable to apply that understanding. The lesson landed perfectly. It just landed too late to save them from the consequences of not learning it sooner. And those consequences are writing their legacy in permanent ink. Here's something they didn't anticipate. You've become more present in your absence than you ever were in your presence. Not because you're haunting them deliberately, but because the void you left is so perfectly shaped like you that it can't be ignored. Every room they enter, they feel what's missing. Every conversation they have, they notice who's not contributing. Every challenge they face, they recognize whose perspective isn't there. You've become the ghost that doesn't need to haunt because the emptiness itself is loud enough. This is psychological devastation on a unique level. They can't escape you by avoiding you because you're not actually there to avoid. You're in the negative space. You're in the quiet where your voice used to be. You're in the smoothness that used to exist where now there's only friction. They're being tormented by an absence, which is somehow worse than being tormented by a presence because there's nothing tangible to confront, nothing concrete to address, no way to make it stop except to fill the void. And they can't fill it because nothing fits the shape you left. What's destroying their legacy is that other people are noticing this too. They're in meetings, and someone says something that makes everyone think this is what your name would have handled. They're at events, and the atmosphere is missing something that people realize was you. They're in crises, and the solution that's absent is obviously the kind you would have provided. Your absence is creating a collective recognition of your value. People are eulogizing you while you're still alive, which means they're simultaneously questioning why the person who let you go made such a catastrophic mistake. The cruelest part is that they want to talk about you, to explain what happened, to control the narrative. But they can't without looking obsessed. They can't bring you up without people asking why you're still on their mind. They can't defend themselves without prosecuting themselves. So they have to sit in rooms where your name is spoken with fondness or respect or longing, and they have to remain silent while people unwittingly condemn them by praising you. But your absence is more powerful than your presence ever was, because it's creating the conditions for others to discover your worth while simultaneously exposing their foolishness. The final and perhaps most devastating realization they're facing is that this is permanent. They keep waiting for the moment when you'll soften, when you'll miss them, when you'll reach out. They're used to people coming back. They're accustomed to forgiveness after displays of regret. They believe that every burned bridge can be rebuilt with enough effort or time. But you've taught them a lesson that's destroying their entire worldview. Some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt because the land on both sides has changed so fundamentally that the bridge no longer has anywhere to connect. You're not the same person who left. You've evolved, transformed, elevated into someone who exists on a different frequency than where that bridge used to stand. Even if they wanted to rebuild it, even if you entertained the idea, the you that they would reach is not the you that they knew. The version of you that might have come back doesn't exist anymore. That person died in the fire they started. What rose from those ashes is someone with different standards, different boundaries, different priorities, and different tolerance levels. The bridge can't be rebuilt because one side of it no longer exists. What's destroying their legacy is the finality of this. They're used to getting second chances. They're accustomed to people's love being renewable resources they can exploit repeatedly. But you've introduced them to the concept of the unreturnable road, the decision that can't be undone, the consequence that can't be avoided, the relationship that can't be resuscitated. This permanence is forcing them to live with their choice in a way that feels like a life sentence. Every day they wake up to the reality that you're not coming back. And every day that reality rewrites a little more of their legacy from success story to cautionary tale. The brutal truth is that they're not just grieving the loss of you. They're grieving the loss of the version of themselves that existed when you were there. Because that version had access to something that made them better, stronger, more capable. That version had a secret weapon they took for granted. That version had an advantage they didn't appreciate until it was gone. The person they were with you was the best version of themselves they're ever going to be, assume, and they destroyed that version by destroying the relationship. They're not just living without you. They're living with the ghost of who they could have been if they had been wise enough to keep you. And that's the legacy. Not what they built, but what they destroyed, including themselves. So, chosen one, here's what this all means for you. While they're dealing with the consequences of their choices, you need to recognize something profound. You didn't destroy their legacy on purpose. You destroyed it by becoming yourself. You didn't plan their downfall. You planned your rise. Their collapse was just the natural consequence of removing the foundation they built on without permission. You didn't take revenge. You took your energy back. And that energy was the only thing holding their house of cards together. What you're witnessing right now isn't about them at all. It's about universal law revealing truth. Energy doesn't lie. Contribution doesn't hide forever. Value always emerges. You are always this powerful. You are always this important. You are always this irreplaceable. They just convinced you otherwise for long enough to benefit from your doubt. Now that you're no longer doubting, reality is reasserting itself. And reality says you are the prize, not them. You are the catch, not them. You are the rare find, not them. So don't look back with sadness at what they're going through. That's not your weight to carry. You didn't cause their struggle by leaving. Their struggle was always there. Your presence was just masking it. Now the mask is off and everyone can see what was always true. They were successful because of you, and not despite you. They were elevated by your presence, not graciously allowing yours. The story they told was fiction. The story your absence is telling is fact. Keep building your empire. Keep raising your frequency. Keep walking in your purpose. Their legacy is their responsibility. Your legacy is yours. And the beautiful thing about authentic legacy is that it doesn't require anyone else's failure to prove its worth. You're not building on their destruction. You're building on your own foundation. That's the difference between revenge and renaissance. One tears down, the other rises up. You chose rising, and everyone's watching. If this message resonated with your spirit, I need you to do something right now. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next revelation. Just like this video, so the algorithm knows to spread this message to other chosen ones who need to hear it. And drop a comment with the words, "I'm building," to declare your intention to the universe. Your breakthrough is tied to your declaration. Your next level is connected to your commitment. Speak it into existence, and remember, chosen one, you weren't even paying attention to their downfall because you were too busy creating your uprising. That's not coldness. That's evolution. That's not revenge. That's revolution. You didn't destroy their legacy. You simply removed yourself from the lie they built it on. Truth did the rest, and truth always wins. Always. Now go build your empire. The best response to those who underestimated you is to become so successful they can't ignore you, so peaceful they can't disturb you, and so focused they can't distract you. Your legacy isn't about them. It never was. It's about you, and it's just getting started.